So I've made a lot of videos about a lot of different guitars in the last 4.5 years since I've been doing YouTube. But to be honest with you, this guitar is by far the most important one so far. Why? Well, it's not a Fender, it's not a Gibson, it's not a well-known small maker. So something a bit unusual, but well, it's a guitar I've made. Now, how do you make a video about something you've made yourself and talk about it? Because I've been trying all day, and ultimately, I can't be the judge of whether it's good or not. But I needed to make this video because it's 3 years I've been making this guitar, really. 3 years ago, I decided I wanted to make guitars. In fact, that's not true because when I was 14 or 15, I really wanted to make a guitar. And in the end, I couldn't. And I was going to do, like a GCSE in design technology or woodworking. I never really got the chance and I couldn't make it at home. So I put the book somewhere in a box. And years later, I found it actually. Now, I'm not actually sure where it is right this minute. So I bought the same book again. It's still in print, but it's about how to make a guitar. And I bought this book about 3 years ago when I just thought, I'm 35 now, and I dreamt as a kid, I played guitar, from 10 to 18 years old, I played guitar every day, right? And I was so desperate to make a guitar. And when you're that age, you get desperate to do so many different things and you dream about them and then they fall by the wayside. And as the years go by, you sort of get flashes of memories where you think, oh yeah, I was going to do that. Oh well, you've moved on. But when I thought about this 3 years ago, I hadn't moved on. I had just always parked it somewhere. And, I know I'm not going to become famous for my guitar playing. Not that I want to become famous, I guess it's just a phrase. But I was looking for something meaningful to do, meaningful to me anyway. Because, I had a pause in my career where I'd been doing property development and investment for, 14 years at that point, 3 years ago. I didn't want to do it anymore, and I was lucky enough that I could basically stop that. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I'd never felt really fulfilled by any of that work. Playing guitar was fulfilling me though, and at that point, 3 years ago, I guess I was just over a year back into playing the guitar after a 15-year break, and I was starting to notice that I could get better to some degree, but I knew I was not going to get to a point where I'm the player I might have been had I carried on playing from 18 onwards, right? I don't know what potential I had, if any. And I'll never know that because at this age, things are different. My hands are different. My brain is different. My desires are different. My desire to not be out and about gigging is different. But I love guitars. I love talking about them, playing them, looking at them, buying them. But I didn't want to keep buying guitars. Partly because the prices have got absolutely ridiculous at this point, but also because I just look at them and I think, well, maybe I could do that. I could do that myself, and then I could find a way to make reasonably priced but sort of custom shop, hopefully one day, level guitars. And so I set off on my journey to make a guitar. And 3 years later, I've just finished my first guitar, but that doesn't really tell you everything. I've probably made 10, 12 necks. I've probably made 7 or 8 bodies. I've got guitars that are half finished. I've got some that were so awful at the beginning that I had to throw everything away time and time and time again. Blood, sweat and tears, and what I call workshop PTSD, where you couldn't get in the workshop for weeks because you just made a silly mistake and you didn't trust yourself. That would happen, and I'd think, God, this is never going to happen. My wife got ill, she had cancer, and it took 18 months for us to start getting back into our normal life properly. And all that time I was doing YouTube and I was playing my guitar for 5-6 hours a day, and that passion never waned. And as someone with ADHD, it's rare for me to keep something going. Guitar as a kid, I kept going for 7 or 8 years, and it has been something that when I decide to do it, I can carry on doing it, which for a lot of things in my life I can't. I have hopped and jumped between things for 15 years of my adult life. Well, over the last 3 years, I decided to get to know myself better, and I went to therapy, and I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I took medication, and I stuck to the workshop. No matter how crap some of the things were and how many mistakes I made and how much I thought I'm never going to manage to do this. And in that time, I've at least stuck to it. And that's why this is the most important guitar to me. It's the first guitar I've finished. Now, I didn't do the painting and the relicking on this one. There'll come a stage soon where I will do the painting and relicking. And I think the first guitar I do that has that work of mine on it will be ultimately the one I'm the most proud of forever. But knowing what work went into making, especially the neck of this guitar, I can't tell you everything because it would just go on for hours. I've tried recording this all day long, and I don't want to make it boring and too in-depth until people ask me questions, to be honest, because this is my own work, and it's like, why would you want to know everything unless you ask me questions? But I've got some pictures from over the years that I've been trying to make this stuff. And so if anyone's interested, I want to make maybe a video where I go a bit more in depth about what mistakes I've made and what I've learned and the tools you need to do this work. But this video was more about, it's the end of the first part of the journey, and I just need to take a breath. Because if you've followed my channel, you know I just took a break for about 3 months. Since I'd last recorded. There had been some videos come out that made it look like a shorter break, but for me it was a 3-month break. I wasn't sure I was ever coming back because I thought, I just want to be in the workshop. I really enjoy working with wood and making guitars and thinking about that. And I've been designing some of my own stuff, and I'm partway through making a guitar of my own design, but I want to get really good at making Tellys and Strats and Les Pauls and SGs and all the stuff we know, because I love that stuff. And eventually I'll make them my own thing if I can. But it's very difficult to have ADHD and to be meticulous and precise and detailed and structured and organized and keep yourself going. So I wasn't through any of those things, and I still managed to finish it. And that's a big thing for me. I got to play this guitar for the first time today, which you might have heard some of already. And I'm pleasantly surprised that I think it sounds the way I wanted an Esquire to sound. It's wild and raucous, and the guitar itself is vibrant and full, which not every guitar that I've put together Like I've done a couple of parts casters. They often didn't sound right. But in this case, I'd gone for a one-piece Swamp Ash body and a piece of maple that I had sort of thought about putting together. There's no science behind it, but you sit there, you tap, and you think about it, and I just held them together and sort of bashed things, and I thought this might work. And I had made a mistake where the neck pocket wasn't right, and I had to redo it, which was quite a big job. And in doing so, I was able to make the neck a lot tighter. I'd learnt a new way of doing that from someone who's helped me a lot, actually. And there's a really tight neck pocket on this guitar, and I don't know if that is the secret to a great resonant guitar, because I've known guitars with a gap that are still great resonant guitars. But in this case, it does feel like the vibration goes from the bottom of the belly to the tip of the top, and I felt like that taught me a lesson. The effort that goes in will get the best out of the wood, whatever the wood is. You know, if it's great wood, hopefully you can have the potential to make it sound great. And that is a journey that I think I can spend my life doing, because with ADHD, there's a very common problem, and that is that you only get to a surface level of a thing, and as soon as you conquer a few challenges, you feel like you've done it, and your brain has exhausted the amount of dopamine it can get from those things, and then you just move on to something else, and that's why you keep moving from hobby to hobby to hobby to hobby, whatever that may be, and they can be quite odd things sometimes. I'm not going to go into the weird things I've been obsessed by for a month here or a week there. I have enough people in my life that raise their eyebrows about that. It's quite, yeah, it becomes part of your identity. And I want to break that as I near 40. I'll be 40 in just over a year. Don't want that to be me. I want to be the guy that's known for being just steady and working on what they want to work on and producing actual finished things. And that's what this represents. It's the most important guitar I'll ever have, probably, because It's the first one I've finished from start to finish. Every part that I could do myself that you normally make yourself. The neck, it's a one-piece neck. I've made the nut, and I made the body, of course. But what I can't show you right now is everything that went into learning those things without going into so much detail. So in this video, you'll have heard it with a 2-rock classic reverb and a Vemiram Jam Ray, because that's a really classic combination for me that I enjoy playing with. But I think I'll do one of those videos in the next week or two where it's like 5 or 6 different amps with one guitar, or maybe more than 5 or 6 amps, and we'll do it with this guitar. So I can talk about it a bit more in a more objective way, because I love talking about amps. And I wanted to go down the route of making amps, but the business of making amps is very complicated and very safety driven. And ultimately, I don't feel like I want to go down that path. But making guitars is more, to me, more therapeutic, more organic. Yeah, organic. Bit vomity, that word sometimes, but it is what it sounds like. Like the work you put in, you see literally come out, and it's incredibly fulfilling. So yeah, I mean, sometimes I hope I inspire people through what I'm doing on my channel. The reason I left YouTube for a few months and wasn't sure I was going to come back was because I just didn't know if what I'm doing is worthwhile at all on YouTube. I didn't want it just to be surface level about gear, but I hope sometimes I connect with people in a way that's a bit more in depth than that. And if you're like me, like you're never quite sure what you're going to do next and how to stick to something, and you've been impulsive, I just wanted to show I've made this guitar from scratch, even though I probably actually started this particular guitar about 2.5 years ago. I bought the pickup. I found the email November 2021. I bought the pickup, which would have been just before I started it. And interestingly, it's a throwback pickup. It's really great, but it's cost $209 then. Now the same one costs $390, which is a bit scary. One last thing before I go. I want to do a video soon when I have the time to change pickups several times in one day. I've got 4 Telecasters in here. I want to put this same bridge pickup in each one, including my Esquire, so we can hear the difference. I think that would be fascinating and something that I'll learn from as a potential, hopeful, full-time guitar maker, or almost full-time. This guitar will be for sale, but I'm not sure if I want to sell it, because I just don't know if the money that I would get for it is what I would be, what would I be prouder of in 10 years? The 1,850 quid I might be asking, or having the first guitar I ever made. If someone's really interested, let me know. It'll be a reluctant sale. But if I don't sell this one, am I just going to end up trying to keep all of them? I'm not sure. Maybe I should just keep this one and then treat the next one as the first one. I've actually made another guitar for someone else that's very almost finished within a few weeks, and you'll see that one on the channel as well. But I really love this guitar. I want to go more into depth. It's difficult. And I've tried recording it more in depth, and it's like a 45-minute plus video. Let me know if you want to know all the ins and outs and things that happened as I tried to make this. For now, I didn't think that was the important part of it. The important part is what I've learned and what I'll take forward. And that is that I can start and finish a project, and I can trust myself to do that, even when it gets really, really tough, both in the work and in the rest of your life. And that's an interesting challenge that we all face, I think. Combining our passions and our responsibilities, our wants and our needs, and the tough shit that gets thrown in our way. But the reason we all play guitar, I think, is probably a bit of escapism to get around that, and the fun it has. And playing this, I can tell you, is great fun. Let's have one last clip. All right. See you on the next one.